There was never an expectation or a blame. I think there was some expectation of like, okay, what are we having for dinner? Like, as long as we discuss, like, what are we eating or what do you want to have this week? Or like, the sink was empty. Like, those little things were kind of like they need to get done. But no one was getting their wrists slapped if it wasn't done.
Parenthood is challenging enough as it is, and getting organized sounds easier said than done. Now, combine these two together, and it's truly a balancing act that many of us struggle with day in, day out. If you're here, it's because you want to know how to get your life and home more organized and structured where the kids are involved too, so that parent life is a little easier and you can focus on what truly matters. Hey there, I'm Diane Jimenez, owner and founder of One Tidy Place. I created this podcast because I know parents have their hands full. I know this because I have 3 kids of my own. Each week, we'll talk about all things organizing, teaching kids life skills, and contributing to the home, being on the same page with your partner, and raising your kids together while you tidy up, go out for a walk, or just need some real talk. I'm here for you. Thank you for tuning in. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Organized-ish Parent Podcast. You're listening to episode number 75, where I will be talking about sharing household tasks. Now, more specifically, it would be about the sharing of the household tasks back at my house, how it is over here from before we had kids to how it is today. Now, before we begin, I just want to say welcome to any new followers, new listeners that I have here. Thank you so much for being here and finding this podcast show. And also thank you to returning listeners and watchers, because I also post my episodes on Facebook, on not Facebook, but on YouTube. So thank you for always being here and tuning in. I hope that you find great takeaways for today. Now, in case you are new, my name is Diane Jimenez. I am a mom, a professional organizer, where I coach moms and mompreneurs how to structure their home life and get everyone involved so that they can show up to their business without the guilt of splitting their time between the stuff that they want to do and family life. So welcome to my show. All right, let's get started. Now, in case you're watching this on YouTube, just so you know, I wanted to film it this way on this side of my room or my home office, just because I'm having wonky light issues. And this happens to be the second time I'm recording this because I had really bad audio on the last recording. So there was half an hour of my time gone and wasted. But that's okay, because now I can provide you with better content now that I've done a once over with it. So in case you hear noises or anything like that, I know I say this every time and my husband's like, why do you always say it? We don't hear anything. But I don't know. For me, when I listen to podcasts, I'm very particular when it comes to the audio. And if I hear noises or the audio doesn't come out very clearly, I kind of lose track of what they're trying to say. So to me, audio is very important, and the extra noises that you will hear coming in and out of my house, I have to apologize in advance. The kids are home for the summer and they walk in and out. You'll hear the vacuum going because it is a time when the vacuum is running and the air conditioning just turns on in and out throughout the day. So if you hear anything, it's house noises. All right. So sharing household tasks, how it was before to how it is right now. Let's paint a picture of how the household tasks were before Onig and I had kids. Now, both of us, well, me in particular, because he still works, I used to work full time at the office before being a stay at home mom and also being an entrepreneur. And the household tasks to us, I think it just came naturally or something. I'm not sure how to describe it more than we just fell into the roles that I guess that play to our strengths. Now, just to back up a little bit, I was discussing this with my husband the other day about the roles that we play at home because he had a get together with a couple of his buddies the other week. And he told me a little bit about it, about some topics that they discussed. And one of them piqued my interest, which is the sharing of household tasks. And well, I think they were talking more about finances, but household tasks came into play on that. And we've spoken to many couples over the years, just talk about how things work at other people's homes. So I think that's what inspired me to put this episode out there about just being candid and pulling the curtains back of what goes on at our house in hopes to shed some light or even possibly get some takeaways so that it runs a little bit smoother at your house. So anyhow, that's why I wanted to put this episode out there. So back in the day, before kids, both Onig and I worked. And when I say we fell into the roles that came to our strengths, he did a lot of the outside stuff and I did a lot of the inside stuff. Like I'm fine with cleaning and I don't like germs and cruddy things. And I guess I'm a little more anal about it. Just my mom was an OR nurse, so everything had to be clean, especially when you're dealing with food and chicken and all that stuff. I don't know why I'm saying chicken, but I'm thinking of like salmonella and stuff like that and eggs. But I always wanted to make sure like things are clean and when we have guests over that the toilet is presentable. So there's no hair on the floor or on the sink. That to me is important to make sure that that's taken care of. So I guess I fell into that role and he fell into the role of like doing more of like the muscular stuff, like making sure the lawn was taken care of and the snow blowing was done in the winter. So all that to say, we also, both of us would cook. We both did laundry. We both folded. We also did groceries. So when it came to groceries, for instance, it was more of like, he was going or I was going. There wasn't a set like, oh, it's your job or, oh, it's your week to go or it's your turn to do it. There was none of that. It's like, okay, what do we need? I'll go get it because I have time or, oh, I can't go because I have a meeting or finishing late. So can you pick up this, blah, blah, blah. So for us, how we worked, it was always a teamwork setting without even discussing we're going to do teamwork. I think it's also how we grew up. Both of us lived first time together after we got married. We moved from our family homes and moved in together as two people never living with anybody else aside from our parents and our siblings to now living with someone that we've never lived with before. I know it sounds probably crazy in this day and age to not live alone first before getting married or, committing your life to living with someone specific to one person. But I don't know, I guess something that we believed in. And yeah, so far it's worked. And, we're living together now almost 18 years next month. So I think we're doing something right. Anyhow, so a few years after we got married, our first kid popped out. And, as new parents, it's very new to us. We've never been parents before. We've never had to take care of a newborn before. And on top of that, I had a C-section, which I've obviously never had before, this major surgery. So it took a lot to get used to maneuver. And obviously, a lot of the tasks at home I couldn't do, on top of like taking care of the kid right away because everything is just so new and everything was so painful. So I'm so thankful that my husband, Onig, took the helm and just did everything for me, for us. And, I'm so thankful that he already knew how to cook, how to do laundry, how to fold, how to do all these things. So in my mind, it was always, I guess, just a peace of mind that I had that it was being taken care of. Now, once obviously the kids started growing and everything, we got into a routine and stuff, we fell back into our roles. And the little thing that changed was that after I finished mat leave for 1 year, after a couple of months of working and finding out that your kid does get sick more often than you want, we both decided, you know what, because I am I guess the one who doesn't have the bigger income and his company, it's more stable and he's also able to be more flexible in that job. Whereas in my job, it's not very flexible. I'm, under the rules and supervision of higher power people. And it was causing me a lot of stress on top of being a new mom and tending to my kid and also being the ambitious person that I was or still am. The ambition was in me to always do everything properly and make sure that everybody's okay and everybody's taken care of. So, long story short, was after a long conversation with the husband, we decided that I would be the stay-at-home mom and take care of our kid for everything that he needs, and he would work, and we just figure it out. Now, everything was great, right? And as far as that, but part of me also was, I know I'm kind of steering off topic here, but I still also wanted to do something for myself. Also wanted to have something when the kids are gone and grown. I wanted to build something for myself and not necessarily go back and work for the man, as I always said. So during mat leave, I was also taking classes in massage therapy because I want to start a massage therapy business. So 2 children later, still trying to do massage therapy. I was never able to grow that part of the business because I just kept getting pregnant. And having a business where people are coming to your house and having toddlers and babies, you can imagine it's very difficult. Both jobs are physically and mentally demanding, and motherhood is a lot more than that too, right? You can understand. So when it came to household tasks, just to circle back to our shared tasks and stuff, while I was gone every second weekend to go to my classes, Onig would take over with the kid, our first kid, whatever he needed, cooking, cleaning, all the things for the kid while I went to school. And I would support him also with whatever meetings he had. I don't think he had any meetings at the time, not yet. It was more when the kids were in school, but we were basically supporting one another. So after the 2 and 3 kids came out, our household tasks pretty much stayed the same, where if I needed to get stuff at the groceries, I would get that. I would do some cooking. He did a lot of the cooking at night, especially when I'm feeding the kids and stuff. Bath time was, I guess, together. We did it as a team. He'd round up the whole crew to get them to bath, and we would just work together in getting the kids to bed, and then we'd sit in front of the TV after and fold 5 baskets of laundry. Now, the thing is, it's like our roles kind of stayed the same, even though I had a new job of being full-time mom and being 24/7 on alert. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't help overnight. He totally did. He'd always bring the babies over to me so that I can nurse them. And he would tell me to wake him up and bring them back like at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then he'd figure it out. But anyhow, just to say that we worked very well as a team in getting what needed to be done. So when I think about it now, it's a lot of it because we grew up in both our households was whatever event was happening in each of our homes, we would all work together to get the job done. So when it came to our house, whatever needed to be done, if it was laundry, if it was cooking, groceries, cleaning up, maintaining the house, whatever, those things needed to be done. So we just did it. Whoever could do it would go ahead and do it. And the other person would help out once they're free, once they're back from work, or once they're back from school or a program or a class or whatever it was, right? And the second thing that was great about our understanding was that there was never an expectation or a blame. I think there was some expectation of like, okay, what are we having for dinner? Like, as long as we discuss, like, what are we eating, or what do you want to have this week? Or like, the sink was empty. Like those little things were kind of like they need to get done, but no one was getting their wrists slapped if it wasn't done. Okay. There wasn't that expectation or that blame. I don't think ever there was ever that conversation or that instance where the other person was blaming the other because something wasn't done. I think the only time that there was blame or feelings of like you should have done this or you should have done that were feelings that I was having with myself. And they would especially come out whenever I would watch videos of the kids when they were babies and toddlers, or look at old pictures too. And it's just, I used to look at those pictures and say, like, man, our house was always a mess. Why didn't we just close the closet? Why don't we just put the vacuum away? Because our floor was just filled with stuff, kids' toys, laundry baskets, the vacuum hose just all over the place, always exposed, right? And when I interviewed my husband back in on episode 32, I will link it in today's show notes. It's actually one of the most downloaded episodes that I have. Owning It and I are there live. Just I'm interviewing him, asking him questions and stuff, and he's answering them, and we're having a conversation. Now, it's not on YouTube because this is pre-YouTube video podcast, so it's only on audio. And that episode where he says, and it's stuck to me now since he said it to me, it made a difference in no longer feeling the way that I felt. That felt of guilt, not being enough, not being a good enough mom, being a good enough, I guess, housewife, because he basically said at that time, it wasn't the priority. Cleaning the house and making sure the vacuum was put away and closing the cabinets and the drawers, it wasn't really a priority. The priority were the kids, making sure they're fed, that they're healthy, that they're happy, they're changed and stuff like that, that they were taken care of. That was the goal for that season of our life. And ever since he said that, I now look at those old videos with far less guilt, but with more happiness and acceptance, and say, you know what, it's okay. So I guess forgiving myself as I look back at those old videos and pictures, because it was such a busy time. It was a mentally busy time and physically draining time. Not saying that it isn't right now. It's a different type of mental busyness. When they're babies and toddlers, it's so new. It's like new territory, especially when you have one kid and jump to two kids and jump to three kids and, hoping to jump for four kids. But anyhow, that moment where he says that, it just, switched the light bulb for me of like, you know what, it's okay. So that was how our life was before COVID. Our roles didn't really change. We both did everything on top of taking care of the kids. He was also involved in picking up the kids too at daycare whenever I was home with the baby or something like that, or I was in a meeting. So speaking of meetings, when the kids started going to elementary school and the other two or one of them was still in daycare, my husband was fully involved with both the daycare and at school. So what I mean is he was the president for I don't know how many terms at the parents committee in our kids' daycare. He was also, I think for the good 5 years, the president or chair of the governing board for our school. And he was also representative at the school board level. He also attended many meetings or most of the meetings for the Home and School Association at our school. And that was what he did in the evenings. I volunteered during the day, being in class at daycare or in class at the elementary level and going to all the outings on top of trying to run the business that I was running at the time. Like I said before, I was trying to launch my massage therapy business. And then at one point, I was also selling jewelry online and taking courses throughout the years that took me away from my family throughout the day. So he was able to support me in those ways where I was also able to support him in other ways wherever our passions or our goals were going. So that was pre-COVID. We both did everything. Now the pandemic hits. And here where we were living, we weren't allowed to leave the house unless it was necessary. Now, because my husband's job, well, his company was still working during COVID, they were still fully functional, which was great. And because he was the one that was always going out of the house, he put it upon himself to do the grocery run and making sure that the groceries were done on a weekly basis. So he would go out, do all the run, get everything that we needed. And when he would come home, I would do all the prep and clean up of everything, and we'd all put everything away. So, in a way, the pandemic helped us streamline the grocery portion and the meal prep portion during that time, because before COVID, we were both doing everything. And after COVID, Onig now takes care of doing the groceries every week to one or two places, whereas before we were going to maybe two or three different places at different times, both of us. And now it's just one person, one or two places once a week, maybe a second time, like if we're missing something. And that was a good thing because it kind of got us, I don't know, made us waste less time and work more as a real team and support each other, whereas we're just all doing everything, the same things at the same time. Anyhow, so fast forward to what life is like today. Yes, he still takes care of the outside stuff. And the good thing is, we're very simple people in regards to like the gardening and stuff. Like, I don't do any of that. I love gardens. I just don't like taking care of it. So the simpler, the better. So mowing the lawn is super simple and super easy. So now, post pandemic, our kids are a lot older and they're more responsible. So during these last 5 years, because I'm home, I am a professional organizer, and we're a house that wants to set our children up for success. Well, that starts at home by teaching them basic life skills like helping out at home. So now my husband does jujitsu on average about 5 times a week, sometimes six, and does the groceries and all that. And he ensures that supper is ready for all of us. Oftentimes it's like the main meal and this is what supper is. And sometimes it's just like the meat portion and I just have to take care, we have to take care of the sides, which is totally cool. And I believe that it's super important for him to go. And because he also wants to go for his mental health and also physically. So I want to support him in that way. So in return, he makes sure that we're okay and taken care of for supper. So that's how everything balances out. Now that the kids are also older, they are now taking the tasks that we used to do together. So the laundry and stuff is split up between my children and myself, where they are taking more of that role and I'm simply assisting them. And in regards to the dishes, well, they've got all that taken care of. So we'll take care of like the big stuff or just assist, but they've taken on that responsibility to handle the unloading and reloading of the dishwasher and cleaning up the table and stuff like that. We've taught our kids to work together as a team. And in return, that provides us with more time for us as parents to do the things that we want to do. And it's so awesome. So, to close things off, I guess the big takeaway here is to make sure that both of you are on the same page when it comes to the things that need to get done. And you're also furthering that conversation about what are we going to do about it? Because I've had this conversation with Onig about the whole 50-50 thing. And that's really difficult, especially when you have kids that come into play, different jobs. Like your life is constantly evolving. Every season, like literal season outside, it will change and it therefore will change the dynamics and the movement inside your house, right? So to put everything down to 50-50 all the time, it's almost maddening or it's too much, in my opinion, in our opinion, actually, because we've had this conversation. But if we have a household that's more of a supportive, where sometimes it's 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, it depends on the day, the week, the season it is of your life. The household tasks will always shift and evolve. But the goal is to handle what needs to get done together. So if you'd like a list of approximately 20 tasks that we taught our kids from toddler to where they are now, please send me a DM on either Instagram or on Facebook, or you can just email me info@dianejimenez.com and I will send you that list. Easy peasy. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and got a lot of takeaways from it. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you here again next time. Bye bye.